Is that beer or no? It's just water, don't worry.
It is, yeah. The elixir of life, as I like to think about it.
Indeed, and such an important element to add to any garden, no matter what the size.
Absolutely. We've talked so much about plants, and yet this for me is the other magic ingredient of it all. It's the thing that when you put water into the garden, suddenly wildlife flocks to it, and it doesn't have to be complicated either.
No.
So I thought we'd start by talking about water at its most simplest, which is, I have it as a drink in this way. All it takes is a little saucer in the garden filled with water. I thought this one was particularly good.
That's
okay,
beautiful.
The water might flow through those, but great for birds with their little claws to cling to and take a drink from a bird bath.
Bees as well will drink from a saucer of water, won't they?
They will indeed, yeah. Particularly put some little pebbles in there, and it gives them little points to perch on when they drink from it. I visited a garden a couple of years ago. I've got lots of ponds in my garden. I've got some bird baths, and yet this garden had got little saucers everywhere, and every one was being visited by something.
There's something really lovely about watching a bird having a bath as well. Like, honestly, I just use little drip trays, and when a blackbird turns up and has a little bath in that, or a blue tit, it's ever so cute.
If you can graduate from that though to a pond, you suddenly get to a new layer, because that might be good, a little saucer might be good for the birds, but it's not going to work for dragonflies and damselflies and frogs and toads and newts and all the other pond wildlife that comes when you've got a water body that's got some plants in it. And I think for many people, they then think, that sounds a bit complicated and expensive.
That is next level, isn't it? Or is it?
It's next level, but it doesn't need to be difficult whatsoever. And I think that people are surprised how quickly you can create a pond. You could take, for example, an old Belfast sink, or even a watertight plant pot. And as long as you ensure that wildlife, should it fall in, that doesn't want to be in there, can get out again, and do that with some bricks and some rocks to create in and out routes from the water, then you've got the chance to start adding plants to your pond. And that takes you to a new level of growing, and it's those plants that will provide the habitat for the newts to lay their eggs in, and stems for the dragonflies to crawl up when they emerge from the pond. And everybody, without fail, who I've spoken to who's put a pond in their garden, no matter what size, whether it be a great whopping one, I was lucky enough to dig one that's 15 metres long in my garden. Took me 6 months to do it. Wow. Down to a little one is still going to have a lot of life that comes visiting it.
It is amazing how much will be attracted to just a small bit of water. And bats as well, they'll come to sort of feast upon the insects that are flying around it. So yeah, it's really, really beneficial.
I think what we need to also touch on in the water issue is the fact, great to have a wetland habitat within the garden, but we need to be careful with water as well. Obviously we're in that changing climate. We saw the temperatures that we had last year, and some of the plants that we've shown today and that we've advised that they're great ones to look out for because they're multi-value. And I'm going to pick out here, we're going to go back to, let's go to our Telefium actually, our Hylo Telefium, our sedum. This has got fleshy leaves. It's a kind of Mediterranean plant, so it can cope with really hot weather. And I think our gardens in the future, if we're to really look after our water sources, are going to have to focus on these plants that can cope with the droughts that are going to come our way. And here's one that is storing water in its leaves, so that in dry periods it keeps on going. And our catmint would do really well, and our lamb's ear. I mentioned earlier, this is a plant from Southeast Europe. This is where it grows, so it can cope really, really hot summers. The fluff on the leaves may be good for our wool cardabees, may be good for me as I go out and stroke them, but it also stops the leaves from drying out and desiccating in really sunny weather.
Fantastic. And lavender's another good one, I think, isn't it?
Another Mediterranean herb.
Yes. Ah, interesting. That's worth bearing in mind, considering the summer we had last year. Well, we do actually have a question from Kylie on YouTube, and she would like to know, what plants should she add to her pond?
Ah, yes. And you've got lots of choices, but I'm just going to throw a little warning in to start with, in that what we're seeing are some invasive non-native species in our wetland systems that can go out of control. So you do need to be careful not to plant those. So go to a reputable supplier when you get your plants. Don't just take them from any pond in the world. Don't do that. But then you've got some wonderful things like irises that come out of the water. They're called emergent plants. They're not submerged at all. Lovely yellow flowers, a native plant. But what you also want are some plants that are aquatic plants that are under the surface. And we have some wonderful native plants that can do that. In particular, hornwort is my favourite. It's like quite feathery and green and creates these long tassels, these long cat's tails under the surface. And once you've added those to a pond, often in the first year of a pond, when you put a pond in, you get what's called blanket weed or algae growing.
Yeah.
And I say to people, don't worry about that, because your pond actually at the moment is a bowl of fresh water that's just been put out in the countryside.
Yeah.
It takes years for a pond to really settle in and for the plants in it to grow. So give it time. Don't worry about that blanket weed to start with. You can twiddle it around a stick and remove it if you need to, but allow those aquatic plants to grow, and they create these stable conditions within the pond. With my 15-metre pond, first year, loads of blanket weed. I'm now year 6, and I've got to a stage where I'd happily bend down and drink the water from it.
Oh, wow.
Nature...
Well, please don't. Or do that at home.
Jen, leave that to me. Leave the dangerous stuff with me. But nature has created the conditions that over time, this balance, and we've talked about balance before during this morning's broadcast. Nature creates the balance if you give it time, whether it's in your pop-up meadow, whether it's in your flower borders, whether it's in your pond.
What's the best thing you've seen at your pond, wildlife-wise?
Wildlife-wise, you would not believe the daily activity that happens. This week, the best thing was a little egret, and people will go, oh, your garden must be in a really wild place. I'm in the middle of suburbia, but little egrets come regularly to my pond. Best thing ever, I put a stick in the pond in the middle of it, and I called it a kingfisher stick, imagining that kingfishers weren't going to arrive there.
Come on.
Now, I'd love to say that they had. And they did.
Really?
Kingfisher
nice.
arrived in my garden. They've come 3 times in the middle of suburbia.
That's so cool. God, imagine a kingfisher in your garden. I would absolutely love that.
And I don't say it as a show off. I say it as put a pond in, and I think you'll be amazed by what comes.
Yes.
You might not get a kingfisher, but you'll get something that intrigues you.
Yes, indeed. Great, and that's great actually to awaken some, intrigue and sense of, curiosity. That's what it's all about as well.